Hello and welcome to my channel. This is the first in the series I'm calling Constructive Criticism, wherein I simply go over a few of the diorama and or other custom work I've been doing over the past couple years or so. Today, obviously, with a focus on Star Wars in celebration of May the 4th. I hope you're all enjoying this. Before we hop in, I'd just like to thank everyone who supported my last video. I truly appreciate it. It got upwards of 200 views, which small potatoes in the grand scheme of things, but given I'm a smaller channel, I think that's fairly impressive. So again, thank you so much. Um, so yeah, let's just get started. Here we have my Jabba throne. All of this, by the way, is in the 6-inch scale, 1/12. This Jabba being from the Black Series. A re-release. Still fairly nice given the time it was made. First, let's start with, let me remove his hookah here. So this, I started working on, again, upwards of maybe a year or so ago. Simply a simple stippling to sort of like create that aged metal look. If I could just get it to focus here. There we go. Apologies, I'm new to this. Yeah, so just a simple stippling and a couple dark washes. I'll try and put up images of what it looked like initially, but yeah, I think it just looks better this way. Again, more aged appropriately, as is the aesthetic in Star Wars, especially Tatooine. And the hookah, again, also a simple wash. But this is more so how the raw plastic looked, if you could see here. So yeah, clearly more plastic than metal in appearance. Then we have little Salacious here. Haven't done anything with him, although considering getting maybe a custom, like 3D printed Salacious to paint up. But this one, leaving as is. Nice little figure, decent articulation for what it is. Here we have a pillow I made, sculpted to his, specifications. This, I believe, was my first attempt, made out of clay, of course, painted with acrylics. I think it's fairly decent, Here we have my second pillow. I believe this was actually the last one I made. So I wanted it to look fairly dilapidated. So you see it's a bit dirty and like sunken in. You've got this clear S shape here. I was going based off reference, specifically the Hot Toys version for this and my Han and Carbonite in the left there. But yeah, I think these turned out fairly well. I posted in Discord about these, and it was suggested to me that I use, soft goods, just sew it myself, but I don't know, soft goods, especially at this scale, it's hard to really manipulate, and, I wanted a specific look for these, again, like they've been well used by Jabba. This is probably my favorite pillow. I think it looks the most like a pillow in shape and volume and everything. I'm really proud of this one. This one, maybe my third one. I think it's decent, although it kind of reminds me of a little wrapped candy, more so than a pillow. But it's still, I think, relatively decent, all things considered. And my final one, this is up there with one of my favorites. Again, I think it looks aged, but it also like has a nice shape to it. You can tell it's a pillow, at least in my mind. Now here, this is the main attraction right here. I'm very proud of how this turned out. This is, of course, Jabba's throne here. Now, the gargoyles are 3D printed. The heads themselves, the rings, are these plastic O-rings I had gotten off Amazon. The gargoyles themselves I had gotten through Etsy. But the rest of this is essentially foam, except for these, what would you call these? These pelts, these alien pelts, really. These are made out of tissue paper. I found a wonderful tutorial on YouTube. I believe it was a Nordic gentleman. The name of the channel escapes me, but I'll probably link it below for anyone who's interested. But yeah, just a remarkable tutorial on how to make these out of toilet tissue, of all things. And considering the material, I think they came out pretty well. I think they're fairly convincing. You could tell what they are by looking at it. So yeah, I think they turned out great. The base itself, the throne itself, is foam. And with to add this texture, I used wood filler. You know, dabbed that on there, smeared it a bit, just to, like, again, add that texture, make it look worn, lived in, realistic. Carved in these geometric shapes, again using the Sideshow collectible as reference. Some stippling here to make it look more like concrete. The gargoyles, I painted black first, I believe, then dry brushed it with a copper, then gave it a bit of a turquoise wash to again make it look like aged metal, and I think I love how it turned out. This I think turned out great, in all honesty. No notes, I guess, with this one. This was a 2-day build. Started 2 days ago as of this recording. This is a little wall to display my Han carbonite. I think it came out quite well. Truly, my only nitpick is this little control box here. It's not quite as accurate as I would have liked. But given this is all, again, foam practically, except for these little metal strips, I used some black polystyrene, spray painted it with the metallic silver, gave it a couple washes to, again, dingy it up, age it up. And these grates here at the bottom, it's just a, I believe sewing mesh is what it was. Painted that black, and actually, if you could see, it's probably difficult to pick up on camera, but some of the paint was peeling when I was applying wash to, like, the floor and the rest of this, which at first I found unfortunate, but it was kind of a happy accident, because I think, again, it gives that worn look, you know, that, like, maybe black paint had been scraped away over time, you know, revealing the raw material underneath. So again, I like the look. I think it turned out well. And yeah, this was a fairly simple process. I have Han connected here via magnets, as you can see, so he can, like, kind of hover above the ground like in the film Empire Strikes Back. And with this, similar to the throne and the scenery behind me, or behind him rather, just used, like, wood filler, smeared it on to give that sort of, like, rocky, grainy texture to it that I just love about Tatooine. And really dingied it up, gave a lot of washes, and went in with a paintbrush with the wash and gave some, like, streaks, because I saw that in references as well. So yeah, I'm rather proud of how this one went. Again, if I had to do it again, maybe I'd try and look into a 3D printed control box, or what a lot of people do, and what I did in another piece of in the background, is use some greeblies. Greeblies is a term I believe was coined by George Lucas, the man himself, and it refers to the random bits and bobs, trinkets that are prevalent throughout Star Wars and probably sci-fi in general, that just give it some texture, give it that techie feel. And I probably would have used one from like a random kit. I only have one model kit, just a car I had gotten from Michaels that doesn't have too many good parts for, Star Wars tech for that aesthetic. So, but, maybe I'd look into one prominently used next time and just use one. Although, again, probably I'd prefer a 3D printed piece just because I'm a stickler for accuracy. And looking at this, those who are perhaps more familiar with Empire Strikes Back, specifically Inside and Out, you can probably tell this isn't exactly accurate in general. These mechanisms, there's supposed to be several of them, but obviously I was thinking of my own collection in regards to this piece, so I scaled it down a bit, simplified it, although still retaining a decent amount of detail, I'd say, and accuracy. But yeah, I'm very proud of this. Here we have this like sort of door frame. Now for this one, now these are going a couple years back, so it appears I used like actual sand in the paint in addition to wood filler to provide this texture. This specifically, I referenced the game Star Wars Battlefront 2, the Tatooine map. And I saw they had these like sprinkled throughout the map, and I just love the shape of it. So yeah, I replicated that. This little piece of cloth, this drapery here is it's actually plaster wrap. That I painted dry brush to like make it look like it's been covered in sand, really run through the ringer. So yeah, I love this. I think this looks fantastic, authentic. No notes with this one as well. Now this little building here, I do have notes for. A bit of criticism. While, it looks nice and it looks like it belongs, in my opinion, it's not quite the scale. This would work better with a 3 3/4 inch figure, really, which I don't really collect. Now I was thinking, maybe one of the smaller species could be housed here, like an Ugnaught perhaps, or a Jawa, though they don't really take residence in like towns as far as I'm aware, but still like a smaller species. There's plenty out there, so theoretically they could be occupying this home. So, but if I were to do so again, I would just scale it up a bit more, make it look more well-rounded, more accurate to the typical buildings you'd see in a Tatooine scene. This is one of the Greeblies I was referring to, just a random piece I got off a model kit. Thought it would work well as like a sort of access point to the home, sort of like a keypad of sorts. Again, this is just a straight block of foam, XPS foam specifically, with a little foam circle I glued on there. These steps, this frame, it's all foam board, except for this doorway is actually a corrugated well, not corrugated actually, just normal cardboard, but it has a bit of corrugation if you could tell through the camera. And I'm not too pleased with these stairs. They look pretty rough, which, I mean, I suppose they would, but I don't know. Stairs is something I struggle with in general, especially at this scale. So yeah, I'm not overly fond of this piece, but I still think in general it gets the idea across. If you're into Star Wars, I think you could tell where it's meant to be from. So now this, quite frankly, I'm not sure what this is in world, but I found it in a picture I'd come across looking for references. I believe it's from Phantom Menace. Again, it's all foam with a bit of sand laid down. Working with sand is another medium I have difficulty with. Just getting it to lay flat, not flat, but to actually stick and not just keep falling off over time, which often happens. With this, it turned out pretty well. It's pretty solid. I like this structure. It doesn't lead to anywhere, but as far as I could tell, it didn't in the reference image either. And I like it a lot. It looks, alien, more so than the hut or home rather. And it's got just I love this texture here. Just it really looks like it's old. It's got a history to it, you know? Just the top here. And yeah, I love it because, all those desert storms, it looks like it's weathered a lot. It's weathered many a storm, and I love this part. I love this piece. And finally we have this, again, based off the Star Wars Battlefront 2 map. This is also plaster here, a little drapery. I really love how that turned out. These two Greeblies, one of the better examples of them from the mono kit. This, I feel like you could see this in a movie or a Star Wars show for sure. I've got this pipe. Those were also in the map. And these, I'm not sure what you'd call the structure exactly, but these sort of geometric shapes, these triangles, squares, all these like things that jut out from these structures are pretty prevalent again in Star Wars, Tatooine specifically. And yeah, again, just simple process. I mix some sand in with the paint. In addition to using wood filler just to give these raised surfaces, dingy them up specifically at the bottom, to look like it's aged. And of course, surfaces close to the ground are going to be a bit dirtier than up top. And yeah, I think this turned out rather lovely. Before I close out, give a little glimpse of this piece right here. Now, this is the Braca, I believe, Cad Bane from the Black Series, based off the Bad Batch. And this figure, well, nice out of the package, very limited paint, as is unfortunately the standard for that line and Hasbro in general. So, and this is, well, not my foray into repaints or custom figures. It was one of my earliest and one of my only attempts actually to date. And I just love how this turned out. I think it looks fantastic, honestly. This head and hat is 3D printed. As you can see, I have his somewhat signature toothpick here. Obviously not to scale. I'm still figuring out how to really make that work. But I used an airbrush, which very difficult process for anyone who's never done it before, especially painting something this small, trying to get in all like the nooks and crannies for the shading and whatnot. Did some stippling to again make it feel real, add that texture. Not sure how well you'll be able to see on camera, unfortunately, but so you just have to take my word for it. Actually, I do plan on taking some photos. I do dabble in action figure photography. My Instagram is Daryl_WJ. It should be appearing on screen at the moment. Also, I have it linked below, just in case you're interested. I also, we'll post drawings and whatnot, other creative pursuits there if you're interested. But yeah, with this entailed some washes, dry brushing the usual. And I just love how this looks. Cad Bane is perhaps my favorite, well, my second favorite next to Anakin Skywalker, at least from the prequel trilogy, or that era rather. I love this character. He's cold, calculating. I love that in the villain. Just entirely without remorse. And yeah, I loved his appearance in the Bad Batch. I'm going through season 3 as we speak right now, and spoilers for season 3, but he makes a second appearance in the series, and I was so excited. I audibly screamed when he popped up on screen. I love Cad Bane. I love him so much. So yeah, Um, so that about does it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you're interested in video essays, DC Universe, Green Lantern, that sort of thing, I do have my previous video I would suggest watching. I'll try and put it linked at the end of this. And to those who have seen it, again, I appreciate it so much, truly. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, let me know if you guys want to see more of this. I do have other dioramas, not all pertaining to Star Wars, but I do have others. Some of which you could see again if you visit my Instagram, which will be linked. But yeah, thank you so much, and until our next chapter, may the 4th be with you.